what you can see, like diabetes or bad diabetes, has to take insulin, or someone who has cancer and so on, you have a whole lot more sympathy for the child than if you have, and there's some disabilities that are really difficult, and unfortunately, if you have autism is super difficult. Autism is any behavioral disorder, any disorder that has behavior with it is going to present a challenge for the school. So where I can understand all of your frustrations as a parent, I'm old enough now and have seen my son through long enough to have some sympathy for the school, because it can take the pediatrician long to diagnose autism. And so it is asking, it's not asking too much of a teacher, but certainly it's still asking a lot of a teacher necessarily to say that this child is autistic. The teacher may say that this child is, the autism presents in the classroom lots of times as what we in traditional language would call bad behavior. And this is why, and like the fear of taking him on tours and all of that, that is part of the whole situation with autism. I'm very much with you, because I remember like when my son was, when I had just taken him to school, just driven from St. John to St. Peter, to take him to a special school that's private, and next, when he got back home, if there was a phone call, and when I picked him up, I didn't take him back. I never took him back, and the school is not a bad school, but the school wasn't equipped to handle him, and handle the kind of challenges that he presented, and it pained me to think that this is a special school. I'm like so if you say my son isn't even, I'm just using the language, isn't even fit for a special school. So I'm just saying that when just want to make this contribution to say to persons who are learning about special needs, I agree with everybody who thinks that every single teacher, especially if you're an early childhood teacher, should have some knowledge of special needs and the variety of special needs, but the enormity of all the challenges that can happen with, there's so many different disabilities, and schools, I can't see all the schools will not be equipped to deal with everything that presents itself. I think it's really unfortunate, because your son sounds like he has a lot of potential. And imagine if you have children, there are children who are really low functioning like my son, but the schools, I still feel it as if even with the best education, there will still be some challenges that some schools can't manage because of the nature of the challenge.
I understand that. You know what, I'm a radical mom. My thing is, don't just talk about it. If we can have 1, 2, 3, do what you can do for that 1, 2, 3. We can't have all, but at least we make a start. So I just say. Are we going to sit there and say, you know, cheese down, but they're going to park in that handicap parking again?
Things that you can do from the kind of one that you say you are. You could volunteer. Like I know special schools want parent volunteers.
But you know what? I would. The thing is, this is what I'm telling you in terms of me and my situation. When I spoke about tours and understanding, you know what? He may be hard to manage. My thing is, you have a parent here that's saying, if you need me to come and hold him, I am willing to do that. But I'm saying, you know, sometimes we're not radical enough to say, well, you know what, if this is the extreme that we need to do, or we need to take. Thank you. You hear what we just said? It is not that extreme, but sometimes we do not want to take the measures to make a difference. Sometimes we say, you know what, this is not what we usually do, so we can't do it. And at the end of the day, let me tell you something, we defeat so many creatives, so many.
Just let me make my last. I have, when I overview my son's life, Nicholas, he has been to both private and public schools, and I have never had a situation where the school, the private and the public, the government schools, where the school will not allow me to be part of something that I'm telling you, this is my experience, that private and public, the same tours and whatever. As a matter of fact, at the government school, and Hill, when I asked for leave from where I was to go to be with him to be with my son for a year. So I said I want to see him in the school setting, whatever, and I'm a teacher and I should be able to do something for my son. And when I was there at Ant Hill, I had students like my son who were autistic, or who had exhibit autistic-like behaviors. And in my room, I had a parent volunteer. Her child was not, her child was not in my class. Her child has cerebral palsy. No, she was Down syndrome. Her child had Down syndrome, and she was in the school setting because he had a He had been born with a situation that meant he had a catheter and she had to change it. And so all I'm saying is that all my experiences where I got with special education, whether private or public, the parent, I think they invite parents.
So it can be done. So then when
It
you
has
have,
been done.
so then when you have a situation like that, understand what she was saying. You know what? There's some conditions we are more willing to deal with. We are professionals, but we're only human also. You understand me?
No, I don't.
You get- you
I don't-
understand?
Not that particular comment,
Yeah.
sorry.
We are professionals, but we're only human, so we have biases, just like you said. You know what? We may be more tolerable of a certain special need, but another one, which as you say, has a lot of behavioral challenges, you know, is a little more overwhelming. They can't deal with him. So guess what? That is very well going to be each other's going to be pushing you back. And that's not right. That is not fair, because you know what? The statistics show that children like that who have so much potential are the ones that get end up in prison, the ones that get end up because they're so often being just because their behavior it is not as easy to manage among you if you start early. The challenges that we have no longer on these older kids will not happen. You said that yes, they encourage that, but therefore, in my situation, as much as it's encouraged, when you recognize that you have resistance of it, not where the person is not trying to reinforce that, then as a parent, you have to question, okay, is it that he's being somewhat victimized? Is it that is a personal? Do you understand? We have all these real dynamics in our school systems.
May I go with you? May I accompany you? What? I can't see what you couldn't say. May I accompany the class? May I go with the class?
I'm trying.
Oh, well, good, that's fine.
Just want to get that, we need to get these two comments in.
First of all, as an educator, it saddens me that someone, a teacher, would say to you that your child is despicable, and I can tell you that I've been in special education for a while. In special education, I have met and worked with several principals. I've worked with education officers. And I've never, that is not a mentality that I have ever encountered in my 8 years of special ed.
That came from a mainstream.
Correct.
school.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
Right. So I've never encountered that before. I don't necessarily, and as much as I sympathize with your challenges and because I know, I always tell people, parents of special ed children are something special themselves, because they require a level of strength, they require a level of dedication that other parents, even though they might have it, don't oftentimes have to call upon. They have to be advocates, they have to fight, they have to work a lot harder a lot of times. No, but as an educator, I cannot, as a special education educator, I cannot sit and agree with you when you say that special education teachers don't have it right. I can't agree with that, because I think what happens, we in special education, I say we in special education, we do the best with what we have. And I think that what we are able to accomplish, I dare anyone who does not work in special education to come and that is not to take away from your experiences. I've listened to your experiences sadden me. However, I cannot, as a special educator, as somebody who works with people who try their best, who oftentimes pull their own pockets, who oftentimes take children to doctor's appointments, who oftentimes go to welfare with parents. You know, Mr. Strong will tell you how many times we've left and gone to welfare and gone to national insurance and gone and to work with children. So I can't say that we don't have it right. I can say we do the best with what we have. No, are there challenges? Are there deficits? Yes, there are. But we do the best. Now, I understand with my colleague over here saying that all teachers should be exposed to special education, special needs. That is great, that is fantastic. I, as a special educator, and I'm speaking for myself, I know I see my education officer back there's Ms. Gibbs, and two of my principals that I respect dearly. I am speaking, so they've taught me well, but I'm not speaking for them. Even though you may have been trained in special ed, or you may have taken a couple of special ed courses, or you may have been exposed to special ed, some of y'all we don't want. And I will be very, very frank. And there's nothing wrong with that. As a social worker, as a trained social worker, I was always taught, you cannot help everyone. Just because you have trained somebody in special ed does not mean special ed is for them. I tell people all the time, I did not find special ed found me.
What you just said. Special ed is not for everyone. No, let me correct you. I did not say that we don't get it right, so we don't often get it right. I often stood up in the school and I commended every single teacher. Hats off to you guys for the work you guys do in terms of special ed, because it takes a special breed of person to deal with a classroom full of special ed. I have one child and I love him to death. And he can send me up a walk. He's among my brain, so I love him naturally. I always take my hats off. Any teacher that I have worked with, and you can ask the system, I don't call names because I don't want to pinpoint. I have said, you know what, thank you for working with my son involved. Don't give up on him. I know. I always extend, you work hard. I can feel the passion when you speak. But let me tell you something, even in the school system, there are a lot of teachers who work hard, they go the extra way, but there's some teachers that don't quite have what you have. And that is true.
And I agree, and that is...
And in special ed too, so when you say, you know what, we work hard, I never said that you guys don't work hard. There are some that work harder than some, there are some that naturally have that in them. And there are others that sometimes are in the system that don't have the same degree of passion that you have, that may not go to the extra extreme, that may not say, you know what, I recognize, rather than putting him in the back of the class, he needs to be side of me. You have that in you as a professional, and naturally you are that person that have that, but everybody doesn't have that.
I just have one more thing, and in respect of the tours, and as Miss Lashley said, as a special educator, and as you said you respect teachers who have to deal with a lot of children at one time and at one time. That's why I was waiting for when I think where she was going. At our school, it is encouraged that parents, if they want to come along to us, or if we have a child that is, I would say, a runner, or a child that would require a lot of extra attention, and you are going out of the school has its own dynamics, because a lot of special ed children, and you want to put at a teacher's door, a lot of parents do not expose their children to lots of experiences outside of school. So when they go on tours, that is the only opportunity they have. And it kind of puts their system into overload. So when you have 7 children with special ed and you're on a field trip, we welcome a parent that will come and assist with the child. Now, I will also say, there are some of my children that behave one way with the teacher, and their behavior is totally different with their parent. So there's some of them that we have some that when their parent is around, they will run all over, they will do all kinds, and so a lot of times, we will not necessarily say not invite a parent to come. But a lot of times the understanding is, you have to understand that children, or they sometimes, because they go with the norm and what they're accustomed to. So I have a child right now that he requires extra attention for field trips. I have 7 other children whose safety I need to look out for. I am not saying that your child is then at the bottom of my list, or that child is at the bottom of my list. But I am saying that when his mother comes and his mother's with him, his behavior is 10 times worse. So it would not be safe or prudent of me to say, have his mother come on the field trip. But we will try to the teachers will usually try to do their best they can. But however, there are certain instances that until your child works up to a point where their behavior is such that they can be, because it's not to say that you're excluding the child forever, but they are in reality in special ed. I know sometimes a lot of people who do not work with special ed day in and day out, they sit down outside and they sometimes say, oh, Kadir, oh, Mr. Harsh, you're gonna have to do that, but you do not understand the dynamics that we have to work with sometimes. And the reality is, because I want to give somebody else the opportunity, is that as a parent, you are going to not be able to step back from a situation the way a teacher can. We love, and you will hear us in special education, we don't call children our students, we call them our children. If somebody asks me how many children I have, I tell them 102. That usually stops anybody from trying to hit on me. But basically, you call them our children, that's what you say. But as a parent, that is like, I have a brother, I cannot tutor him. I am an IT teacher, but I cannot tutor him because I am personally invested in Kamal. And I get more frustrated with Kamal because my understanding, my expectation is, well, you should be able to do this. And even if I don't say it, I am more passionate about him. There's certain decisions I might make as a teacher. But if a teacher at his school made it and I feel like, oh my gosh, you're being unfair to my brother. And I want to go up there and I want to go to the office and I want to quarrel. And I have to step back and say, you know what? I am looking at this from a passionate perspective. I am not looking at it from an objective perspective. So I just want to close to say that I am sorry for all that you have encountered and all that you have endured. I would encourage you to continue to fight for your child. And for the parent, the principal that said, oh, you know, they had 7 people and they were happy, that is the reality of special ed. We do not get a lot of parent turnout. A lot of times, a lot of parents have special needs themselves, and a lot of them will not come. A lot of them work in those jobs that pay $7 an hour downtown, and if they leave, then their entire pay gets affected. So a lot of them can't come. So when a principal sees 7 people at a meeting, oh my goodness, it's almost like we have 1,000, because you know the struggle that the parent had to make to get there. I'm done.
Okay, I'm done with what you said. Please, can I give me 1 second? I know that I sound like I'm hugging, right? But I don't want her point to be lost. And I don't want my point to be lost. So for 1 second. You know what you just said? That's fabulous. And I understand that. But you know what we need to do from school and household, so we get it right, or we at least get close to getting it right. You have all that information. You have all that knowledge because you're the professional. You understand. You know what? There's certain things I teach the alphabet and writing this way, and as a parent, don't understand why you teaching that because you and we go together. We need to communicate. You can't understand that. And then, you know what? I recognize that. And I don't say bad behavior. A child might be more excited when his parent is there. You know what? And if you recognize this about the dynamics of your child, we as parent and teacher and professional, we need to communicate. Communicate that to parents so we understand, okay, this is what's going on. This is what is going on with my child. Okay, let me work with this.
All right, very much. And I would have said earlier, the need for a strong parent-teacher relationship, home-school relationship, is necessary in education. And within special needs, there needs to be more acute relationship existing between teacher and parent, home and school, in the interest of that child. I want to say, in this context, the PTA, the national average for PTA attendance is under 6%. It's under 6%. And your men are concerned at those meetings. It's even worse. However, it does not negate the ability to develop strong home-school relationship with those who wish to be present. What are we going to do with all this information? Because legislation is not coming soon, as much as being drafted. And policy in education will not change the dynamics in the classroom. We recognize, and it is very good, it's healthy that we have professionals, teachers, who too are parents of special needs children that understand the concerns of the average parent. Do we need more special schools? Do we need a special class in every school? Do we need a special teacher that can identify, detect, and reroute those persons to the appropriate institution? Because let me say to you, teachers, you will not get it right if you attempt to do all. It's a joke. You will not create utopia in the classroom for all children. So let us keep it real here as to what we can achieve and do it bit by bit in stepping stones. And
those were brilliant questions.
No.
I hope somebody would write
no,
them.
and I'm saying to you, and this is what you should advance to the Ministry of Education. In the interest of education, do we need more special schools? Because based on the severity of the special need, the acute nature of the special need will determine where that child needs to go. Do we need special classrooms in every school? Do we need special teachers in every school? And that teacher will not necessarily have a class, but that teacher will flow and inspect classroom dynamics to determine what is going on. And I think that will get us far fast, as opposed to waiting on legislation and policy that will not come soon. And even if it's implemented, the framework and the financial support to make it a reality or make it functional ain't coming soon either. So let us work with what we have, the will of our teachers, the will of our parents, the human nature, humanity, to make it work. Policy, legislation, and finance is not coming soon, and it will not make a difference.